Thank you all so much. I see beautiful, beautiful, lovely faces that I know, some I don't know, but I'm excited to be with each and every one of you. Forgive me for wearing my cap, but if you see my hair, you can understand why, okay? That I keep my cap on. So today, we're going to talk about activism and arts and just telling our own stories and sharing our own stories and using that story as a power to be an agent for change. This is something I've been always excited about for many, many years, since I was a young man growing up in a little small town in Northeast Texas. So one of the things that once I got out of Texas, escaped from Texas, my mentor here in Colorado was Dr. Vincent Harding. And Dr. Vincent Harding liked to do an exercise at the beginning of any time that he had a discussion with anybody. He liked to get to know people. And he says a few things. He wanted to know your full name, your mama's name, your mama's name, and where you spent your childhood. Since there's more than 40 of us, we won't be able to do that. So 5 of you can do it at the beginning. But later we're going to have breakout rooms. In the breakout rooms, you can continue that, okay? So some of you may not know each other, but this, I think, is a great way of getting to know each other. So, Jason, you want to pick 5? Or somebody wants to volunteer to go first? So, it goes just like this. My name is Donnie L. Betts. My mama's name was Mamie Lucille Haynes. My mama's name was Pinky. And I spent my childhood in DeKalb, Texas. It's very simple. Okay, who wants to go first? Dan Hister.
My name is Dan Heister. My mom's name was Janine Dessertin Heister. My mom's name was Suzanne Dessertin, and I spent my childhood in Denver and Estes Park in the summers.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I just love it when you say your mom's name. Who's next? Pam.
Well, Dr. Harding was one of my professors at ILF, and I love this process that he would take us through. So my name is Pam Farrow. My mother's name was Mildred Farrow, but she went by Mickey, and Mickey Josman. And then her mother's name was Helen Josman. I don't know my mother's birth surname. And I spent my childhood in Indianapolis, Indiana, Arlington Heights, Illinois, and Wausau, Wisconsin.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Next. Then all go at once. Diane. Diane and then Demarius. Is that it? So Diane first, though.
Okay. Diane, my mom's name is Grace. Her mom's name is Sylvia. And I grew up in Seattle.
Beautiful. Awesome. Next is Mr. Calderon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Damaris Calderon, otherwise named Mars, as you all know me. And my mother's name is Elisa Calderon, and her mother's name is Darlene O'Hirok. And I'm from a neighborhood in Boston called Dorchester. So glad to be here.
Yes. Welcome, Boston.
Thank you.
All right. One more, and then we'll move on. Brad.
Hi, my name's Brad Carney. My mother's name is Donna Carney. My mother's name was Sadie Rosario Petrozelli Milano, and I grew up outside of Philadelphia in a small town called Lansdowne.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much for participating. Remember, you're going to carry this on once you go into breakout rooms. You're going to do breakout rooms 3 times, so you'll have time if you don't finish the first time to continue this on, okay? I think it's a great way. As Pam said, it's an exercise that Dr. Harding would take all us through, and it was amazing. It was amazing the things you could find out from individuals about their lives and being willing to share. Also give you a chance to, for all you shy folks, to participate, okay? And everybody needs to participate today. So, as I said, I grew up in a small town in Texas. So one of the people that I used to read a lot was Dr. Maya Angelou. So I'm going to start with a couple of quotes from her, if you guys don't mind. Okay. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. On perseverance, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. So that's how I'm gonna start it out with. Now I lost. Oops, my screen. You guys still see me? Oh, there you go. Thank you. All right. So that's when I'll start with those three quotes. So the meaning and definition of activist is someone basically that wants to change things. They want to be a change agent. They might think of that as themselves as being a change agent, but they can do things small or large to activate and motivate a change in personality, their own selves, in individuals, in a company, in a corporation, in a government, and so on and so forth. So let me talk about a little bit about my life, because what we do in our lives, I think, can help find out what that motivation is, because we want to see something that motivates us to be these change agents. So, as I said, I grew up in a small town in northeast Texas called DeKalb, Texas. The closest major city was Dallas, Texas. So, some people may have seen the movie Paris, Texas, and that's close to my hometown, or Texarkana, Texas, where unfortunately there was a home of Ross Perot. If you guys remember that guy named Ross Perot. So, anyway, so that's the kind of environment I grew up in. Okay, but I also had an opportunity at a very young age to work for the actual Speaker of the House at that time in Congress, and I used to talk to him as I moved things around on his farm because we were farmers. So I grew up in a small town, but we were farmers. We raised everything. So I really feel for the farmers today who are not being able to complete this food chain that we know about. We raised tomatoes and cucumbers for pickles. We raised pigs and we raised cattle and things like that. All those kind of things on a small farm, not like the big major farms you see today, the corporate farms. But in doing that, there were also things that we encountered too. We thought that we were wrong. Unfair prices that my dad fought for. Also, we had something at that time called a poll tax. Poll tax allowed you to vote, but you had to pay a tax in order to vote. And this poll tax was only for people that looked like me, or my dad, or my family, and that kind of stuff, people of color. So one of the people that fought for that change was my dad. And my dad was illiterate. He had a third grade education, but he knew when something wasn't right. And one of the things he fought for was that how to eliminate the poll tax by going to different politicians, going to that Speaker of the House and different people who are in politics around my area in Bowie County, Texas, in order to get that change. So I watched this sort of thing. I also watched the money of politics at that time. I watched people come and pay my dad money to get black people to vote for whoever their candidate was. And my dad would just tell whoever, he said, yeah, I'll talk to this group. We'll have them vote for you. And so that was how we always had to have a few new clothes by this money, because he never paid anybody off to vote for anything. My dad would take this money and give it to people to do whatever they needed to do with, because his family was very large. His family was 18 kids. My family was 12 kids. So there's a lot of mouths to feed, that sort of thing. So then when I went off to college, I also became an activist there too. This was a time of sit-ins and taking over administration offices and that sort of stuff. So I was looking for this old picture of myself, which I wouldn't be able to find. It was in a newspaper. I first went to college at a college called San Angelo, Texas. Um, Angelo State University. So in San Angelo, we took over the admin office so that black studies could be part. So that's one reason why I really love Dr. Vincent Harder, because he was part of that whole movement to get black students in different universities around the country. But at that time, we sat in and we took over the admin building. So that was the first part of my activism in my hometown when I went to college, and then moving on when I moved to Colorado as well to try to get things on an equal playing field. So my passions are healthcare, children's rights, sexual and child abuse, domestic violence, because my sisters suffering from domestic violence. So about something about activism, find something you're passionate about and work toward it. Whether you write somebody, whether you go on marches, whatever the case may be, that's what you uh, put your energy behind. Now, in this day and age with Zoom and things like that, a lot of things are done virtually, so we can do virtual things too. What's something important? Most of you are artists here. What's important right now? So fundings are trying to be eliminated from the next budget. So we want to make sure that we lend our voice to those things too. so that Think 360 can still exist and artists can still exist. Because if you don't support this now, that means that's you supporting yourself. So I'm preaching to the choir, I know, but the choir has other members. So you need to talk to those other members, choir. Choir, go out and talk to those other members, have them talk to that congressperson, have them talk to that state senator, give them a call. And a lot of these people are activists themselves. So make sure that you do that. That's my speech for the moment, but that's what I want you to be able to do, okay? Because that's what drives me. Now let's talk a little bit about arts before we see our first little.
Hey, Donnie,
yes.
Before you go into that, thank you so much for that plug for supporting artists here. And, back and forth in the chat, some folks have been having some trouble hearing with the static. And there's this beautiful moment when you're close that we can hear you very clearly. And then as you move back, there's almost some static. So don't want to stage manage it, but I think if we can try and keep you close, we'd really appreciate that.
Jason, you're coming at a good time. When I first started my acting career, I could not stand stage managers. But I have learned to love them dearly because they will save your butt. Okay?
Well, I appreciate that. So I'll jump in, but right now you're crystal clear. So
okay,
whatever's going on, please keep that. Thank you.
Okay, that's what a $20 camera will do. Okay? It gives you poor quality. Sorry. But everything's sold out. But anyway, so what we're going to do is first we're going to see a little bit of a video. So in this video, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this workshop, another mentor, and I have a lot of mentors, Oscar Brown Jr. was somebody I really looked up to. I met him many years ago at Cleo Parker Robinson's dance studio when she used to have a studio downtown, upstairs. Some folks may remember that. And I went to a workshop with Oscar Brown Jr. and his wife, Jean Pace, who was a great dancer and also really popularized the afro. I mean, the huge afro, not just an afro, the huge afro. So Oscar said at the end of that workshop, he said, an artist has a social responsibility to not only entertain, but to educate. That's what I think we all are tasked with. And I think most everybody I'm looking at here has that already in their heart. So the first person you'll see in this video is OBJ, as we all love to call him. And then we'll have a few panels about rights, and we'll talk about those rights as we go through that. Jason, whenever you're ready, my dear man, take it away.
I wound up joining the Communist Party. That made me a real activist, really, and one of the ways I expressed my activism was to run for the state legislature when I was 22 years old on the ticket that was headed by Henry Wallace for president. And Earl B. Dickerson, who was a prominent businessman in Chicago, an attorney, was running for Congress, and I was running for the state legislature. Well, the whole progressive ticket got wiped out by the Democrats. Harry Truman sort of adapted the civil rights plank of the Progressive Party and just swept us away. Then a couple of years later, I entered the Republican primary for Congress. The purpose of that entry was to get issues into the campaign, knowing that the guy that the Republicans put up was going to be a weak candidate. But that was my the first time I voted for me.
We started a little bit into the video. That's just the way it was edited. That's my fault. But anyway, Oscar was, as you can see, he did whatever it took. Democratic, Republican, Independent, it didn't matter, progressive, as they were called at the time, to try to be elected so he could make change. He was 21, 22 years old. And of course, he hung out with people like Paul Robeson and those kind of activists like that. But by doing those and running for political office at that time, he wanted to elicit change. Always been an artist, always been a poet, always been a singer, always been a playwright. So that's what he was using. He thought he should use the political platform in order to make the change that he wanted to make. Growing up in the South Side of Chicago, he could see that the racial inequities that existed there. So those are the things that he wanted to talk about doing: transparency in housing and a lot of housing discrimination. his dad was part of the housing situation there in Chicago, being an attorney himself. The second thing, the three panels that you saw was rights. So I don't know if a lot of people think about our rights. I mean, you think about when something's done to us, right? So the first thing we saw was we're all born free and equal. Any thoughts on that? What that means, being all born free and equal? Are we really born free and equal? That's the question I have for you. Anybody can jump in. All right, this is not a lecture. This is the conversation. Yes, Andy.
Hi. I mean, I do think that we're all born free and equal. I mean, or at least that's the aspiration, isn't it? You know, I mean, each of us has the potential to live our lives and to contribute something really special to the world. So we're all born with that same potential. You know, we can all do something with that potential. And then it's sort of other people that discount that potential or take that potential for granted, perhaps. You know, but we each have such a capacity to do something and make something in the world. Yeah, that I would say that capacity makes us all free and equal as we're born, at least.
Beautiful, thank you. Anybody want to respond to that? I think Dan has his hand up.
That we are born free and equal, but within a minute or two after being born, the inequalities and the limits on our freedom, depending on who we are, start to set in. And I think that activism becomes inbred to those of us who say, look around and say that freedom and equality that should maintain through life begins often to be taken away right away, at least for many, many people, and is encouraged for other people. And so the fight for equality, the fight to maintain our birthright is something that is constant throughout our lives. And I think is what motivates activism. It's certainly one of the things that motivates me.
One last comment on that, and we will move on to the next panel. Who would like to comment next? As I said, this is not a lecture. Yes, Calderon.
I believe that we all have the capacity to be free and equal, but I don't believe that we are all equal if we don't have equity. I think if we were able to receive equity, we would have equality.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. That is absolutely true. So the next panel you saw was don't discriminate. Comments on don't discriminate. Because we talked about rights, everybody born free, right? But these rights belong to everybody. Don't discriminate. Comments, please. We have 41 people. I should have some comments. So the question on the table is comments on don't discriminate, our second panel. Yes, Andy.
Well, I think again, I had just sort of stumbled into a talk a little while ago. I'm not going to say his name exactly right. Kendem Ibram, right? He wrote that book recently, How to Be Anti-Racist. And I think sometimes it's interesting the things that people sort of think that they're doing that are benign. You know, that discrimination sort of like it sneaks into a lot of the activities that we think are like regular, standard, or when we don't see people around, we don't really think that that's a result of anything. So that discrimination, you know, it's not just the things that we do, but it's also the things that we don't do, or the ways that we are sort of okay with not seeing certain things done. Yeah, Ibram Kendi, yeah, there he is.
Beautiful. So, yes, Brad, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to kind of remark that the concept of discrimination and how you have to first break the social norms that we are all tied to of socialized existence, like where everything from social media to TV to the books we've read to the education we've had up till now, that we need to break a social system that has been built from certain entities in this world. So now that discrimination needs to be viewed through a different lens because the social norms have to kind of disappear to be restructured.
Beautiful. Thank you. Can everyone still hear me? I just need a yes from someone.
Yes, I
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna, Jason. Is
Yes,
now
sir.
we're gonna break out into breakout rooms. Have you thought about how you're gonna how many people are gonna be in each room?
Absolutely. So Zoom has a function where we can break out. We have 41 folks, including myself. So we'll break out into 10 rooms, about four participants per room, 3 or 4. So we will have Zoom automatically create those rooms. But if you want to set up a task for us, Donnie, I
Yes, I
have
do.
these slides that you sent me. I can share the
So
screen.
yeah, the first one should be unity.
Yep. Let me just pull that up. Alrighty. All right. And let me know if you see that screen for Unity, Donnie, that you sent me.
Just a second, I have it pulled up for myself. So let me go back to you. Yes, I do.
All right.
Thank you. So everyone, when you go into your breakout room, you're going to have a little task. So I want to thank Jeff Campbell, an activist in town and poet, for sharing some of his work with me. And these next 3 panels you'll be working off of is a combination of what he used to work off of when we were dealing with the Hip Hop Coalition. So we'll talk about unity, and that's a collective creation of a plan. Okay. So as you go into this breakout room, there's a lot of things that are issues that are on the table, and you have to tell me what that issue is for you. I can't tell you what that issue is for you or whatever your group is. You decide what that issue is for you. On that, in that breakout room, you're going to work on unity, collection of a plan. Unit, you and I, one, the beginning, origin. It's very self-explanatory. Selfish, selfless, self-interest. Without a team, there's no leader. Without a leader, there's no team. So the leadership is to facilitate a dialogue with you guys creating there. And the unity principle, unity is created when everyone has something to contribute and all your ideas are valuable. Okay? So when you go into the room, you're gonna do the first thing, the first task is your mama's name, your mama's name, and where you spent your childhood, okay? And then you're gonna work on unity. And I think we're gonna have about 10, 12 minutes at max for this first one, okay? Does everybody understand the task that they'll be doing? Yes, cool, awesome. Jason, it's on you now, my man.
All right, Donnie. So it's 1:30 now. You said 10 minutes. So, folks,
Yes.
I'm going to put you in your breakout meetings for 10 minutes, and then I'll bring us all back together. So, fingers crossed, and we'll see you all in about 10 minutes.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Man, that 10 minutes went fast. I don't know about what you guys thought. Did it go fast for you guys too? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay. So what I forgot to tell you before we broke away was we need someone to be a scribe in each one of those breakout rooms and report back their activities from that room. So even if you didn't scribe, I know y'all artists, so you have a chance to use that great muscle up here to report back what happened. So Chelsea is going to be ours, and we're going to start first. Chelsea.
Excellent. Yes. This is the moment I've been waiting for my whole life. So hello, everyone. Yeah, we had a nice conversation about what we want, like how we want to be active in our communities and what we're doing individually. So for me, I was talking about how much I value nature, having grown up in a very rural area, and how that love and deeply seated resonance for the environment comes through in all of my art, and thinking about how environmental justice has all of these layers that carry through into all other social justice, a lot of other social justice projects and ideas. And then Juliana was also talking about this idea of the collective feeling of belonging. And so how to cultivate community and bring people together through the arts and through the various ways that people want to gather, whether that be through food or art or music or art classes or whatever. So those were some of the topics that we covered. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Jason, how many breakout rooms did we have?
So there were about 10 breakout rooms.
Okay, so why don't we have reports from maybe 2 or 3, and then we'll have different people when we come back the second time.
Sounds great.
Okay. Who would like to go next?
I could give it a shot. If
Okay, Erica had her hand up there.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, you can come next up.
Okay.
Erica, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
you.
There you go.
Our group discussed kind of connecting the activity to unity and where we come from. And we ended up talking about how the coronavirus has kind of created this shared experience that makes it very tangible to point out inequities and say, like, we are all experiencing this, but experiencing it in different ways and being impacted in different ways. So it's kind of in the moment discussion started to dig into equity issues. And we tied that to, where we come from kind of lends it or kind of shapes our perspective on how we look at things and how we view the world. And then connecting that to unity, we talked about how unity has to be started with one person and a follower, and then growing the team to get bigger and bigger and bring more people into the loop. And so that's the goal, is to continually grow and see how we can unify and figure out what different roles we have to play for a collective goal. And right now, the coronavirus is a great, no, it's not great, that's the wrong word. The coronavirus is a shared experience where everyone should be able to unify and figure out how we can play a role to get through this and think about equity as we move through it.
Thank you, that's beautiful. One last one before we move on.
So since I jumped in before, maybe I'll pick up.
Yes, please.
So our group, we kind of really started off just trying to analyze the idea of unity. What exactly are we talking about here? And we came to the conclusion that unity, there's sort of an implication of, the root of the word being one, but there's sort of an implication of multitudes. And in order for all of those multitudes to be one, like, what are the ingredients? What's the necessary conditions? In other words, I guess, what is the glue that holds all those pieces together? And we decided that unity, really, without equity, there's no unity, and without opportunity, equal opportunity, there's no unity, because that's basically like weakens the glue that holds everything together. So if you've got I don't know, I came up with this because I had a broken ceramic on my desk, and I've got some crazy glue that's not really working very well. So I'm like watching it fall back apart again. But yeah, it's not really about like oneness for the sake of like everybody being uniform or falling in line, but about like opening up to allow everybody to have their voice in discussion and be involved and participate. So, there can be kind of disagreement and stuff within a unified front.
Yes.
But it's about having the platform and the space for everybody to feel like they're part of the conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you brought up the word opportunity, because that's going to be next. And our next time we break out, we'll talk about opportunity. So, Jason, let's get to our next video clip.
We would buy our ticket and walk. As we would walk into the theater, there would be a little bell would ring. Immediately an usher would show up and direct us to the upstairs little section that was cut off for those of us of color. He would follow us on, make sure that we were seated in the right place. Only one day, there was nobody up in the balcony when I and my friend Eleanor Hawkins was up there, and I always had a mind of my own. I said, well, why don't we just move down there? There's nobody up here. Well, do believe me, the usher evidently would come up periodically to be sure we were put, and he politely, not another soul up there now, but he politely made us sit back in that little section. I was furious. I had a temper in those days. Not that it would do any good, but it made me feel better.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Got that all figured out. So the last frame you saw was no one, you can always go where you want to go. You are a person just like anybody else. I wanted to share that little clip with Mrs. Marie Greenwood. Some of you may have know her or know who she was or is. She lives with the ancestors now. Miss Greenwood was just a phenomenal educator. One of the reasons that she always resonates with me. Not only that, because in that clip, she's 101 years old. And she looks like better than me. So for sure, I'm half that age. But anyway, but she went through a lot, and she always did it with dignity. And so she was talking about the time that she would go to movie theaters, and of course, she had to sit in a different section, the quote unquote color section, and how she dealt with it. But she also, people don't know about her, she also was part of SNCC and organizations like that that would go and integrate the department stores in Denver, Colorado. And also the frames you saw too was no slavery, no torture, and you also had one that said the silent cell up, that was held up too. You have the voice no matter where you go. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to talk about those as much as we did the last time, because I want to get to the next breakout room so we don't run out of time. So the next breakout room, Jason, if you wouldn't mind sharing that slide, that would be great. You muted, Jason. Okay.
Donnie, so that's for the opportunity slide, yes?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. Yep.
Yeah, someone brought up opportunity after we came out of our first breakout room. So it's interesting how all these lead into the other, you know. So opportunity for delegation of responsibility, right? You have the opportunity to operate in unity in that unit, that uno, that one, but then you also have to work together as a team. So who's responsible for the task of the plan? What is my role in the plan? And so on and so forth. These are what we're going to work on now. And this next time we go into the breakout room, which is coming up now. Am I responsible, able to make my contribution to the plan? What is your ability to respond? So some people talk about the COVID-19 or whatever that plan is going to be. How can you contribute to that so that the plan will be executed? The last slide we'll see will be action, and we'll talk about how we can take action points coming up after this. Also, it means when you're working as a team, when everyone has a stake in the outcome of the plan, their role is clearly identified. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, when we talk about how arts may be cut here in Colorado. Well, all of us as artists or teachers or educators, whatever we are, we got a stake. We got skin in the game, as they say. So, and I really want to hear what somebody has to say about this. What's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? One of my stories I tell with young people is about knowledge and wisdom. So I really want to hear what people have to say about that, the difference in that. If you didn't have an opportunity last time to introduce yourself and go to your mama name, you can take that time to do that now. So Jason, without further ado, let's put people in their breakout rooms and let's do our thing. Remember, somebody can scribe, okay, from this time. We might not get everybody, but we'll get a few.
And Donnie, do you want to do another 10 minutes for this one?
Yes, please.
All right, here we go, folks.
I think we can get through. If we go over a few minutes, is everybody okay? Okay. Great. Everybody's back? Fantastic. I hope you had a good time in your breakout room. We had a great discussion in ours. Jason, I'm going to ask everybody to hold this discussion because I want this to be a real robust discussion at the end. We'll see the next video. We'll come back to the next breakout room, and we have a big discussion at the end.
All right, so I'll play the last clip to the end then.
Thank you.
So tell us your name.
James McDermott.
And James, what's the high school are you in?
I go to Jeffco Open School.
Why are you here today?
I'm here because in 7th grade, I stopped my Shakespeare class to have a conversation about the Sandy Hook shooting. And that conversation for me hasn't stopped since. and I'm sick of it being a conversation. I want it to be action, and I want it to be a movement.
What is the term, in order to form a more perfect union? What does that mean to you? What does that phrase mean to you?
The phrase, the more perfect union, to me, means that our country never stops fighting, never stops working to improve itself. And even if we became the #1 country in the world, we'd still strive for greatness and do everything we can to protect our people.
Robert Valdez, we're doing this because there's oppression, especially with African Americans within our country. Police brutality is one where it's just not right. We all know it. It's pretty easy to understand that, we all need to do our parts no matter who we are or what color we are, and we won't stand for it. And the more we come out and protest, we will, to alleviate, we will make a difference. It'll just, everybody, it's everybody's job. Doesn't matter color, size, nothing. You gotta come out and support, because tomorrow it could be you who needs the support, and you would hope that all these beautiful people will show up for your cause. That's why we do it.
It's a big matter for the younger generation to see us doing our part, getting up, walking, making sure we're seen and heard. Just spreading love. That's what it is.
Besides marching, what else can you do?
You can volunteer, make sure you're really walking the walk.
On a day-to-day basis.
Not just talking about it, but living it, being kind and nurturing and welcoming to everyone who walks in life.
Your name?
Denise Valdez.
Okay, everybody, now it's time to put all those discussions and everything into action. You saw some of the young people out there doing what they felt were things to do. I wanted you to share the gamut of activists from someone who's a little bit older to the very young folks and even babies that can be activists as we talk about doing this. So now it's time to talk about unity, opportunity, and last action. How do you put this into action? What is the difference between cause and effect? When I act on opportunity, I am given. I am in action, so that means you are in action, okay? So that's a discussion that you should have when you go and you break out this room this time. We can have a robust discussion about all of this when we come back, and I'll give you some sites that you can go to that, you can, if you don't have a cause right now, we can help you maybe find a cause that you can put your action to, okay? All right, so let's go into those breakout rooms, and we'll see you in 10. Oh, good to see all your lovely faces again. Hey, Leah. Want to say hey. Dan,
Hey.
Dee, all those good folks I love, I love you all. We are not going to have a lot of time, but what I'm hoping that could happen from this, since it is recorded, that whoever scribed in their breakout rooms will share those notes if you can, if they're legible, or you could type them up for us. Share those notes and send those to Jason. Maybe he could share that with everybody else so each group can know what every group was talking about. That would be really fantastic. I shared what I call a show flow with Jason. and I want him to send pages 2 and 3 to all you guys, because it's just some little notes that I have for you about what you can do. A lot of what we talked about in our group was volunteering. Of course, a lot of you do that already, but I have some things I want you to do. You can promote your cause on social media, circulate an online petition, all those kind of things. So something that Malcolm X always says, Dr. Harding has said, Dolores Huerta has says, who's a Chavez says, is agitate, agitate, agitate. So that's what you want to do too if you're working on something that's your cause, is you can agitate and just be a thorn in somebody's side in a nice way, you know. But if you know, if you have to be not so nice, you can do that too.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, but you can agitate, agitate, agitate. One thing I want to bring out that should be on these pages, that is, I want you all, if you can, watch the class at 2020 on CNN on Saturday night at 5 o'clock, and it's Graduate Together. It's like a graduation for all the graduates in 2020 that haven't had a chance to celebrate. If you walk through your neighborhood, as I do a lot of times, you hear the flags and you'll see the little spinners and people who are graduating. They're not able to participate in their graduation ceremonies or their proms, things like that too. A prom is also going to be held on May 22nd by Michelle Obama and all the different platforms that we have. So just try to participate. If you have someone that you know, someone who's graduating, you know, drop something on their doorstep. You know, just if it's a card or whatever like that, just give them that support that they know they appreciate it for all the hard work that they've done. That's being an activist too. Those small things that I talked about to be an activist. There are different groups in town that you can deal with. If you're a teacher, you can deal with your union. There's a group that I really love called Soul to Soul Sisters. They do a lot of great things, especially for women. As you can, as I said, I have 7 sisters, so I'm definitely for anything to do with a women's cause. You know, I didn't have any choice growing up because otherwise I'd be taken to task. So that continued on into my adulthood. Also on that page, you're going to have a couple of links about we're in a pandemic, but it seems that people of color are still being shot down every day. So I have a couple of links there that you can do and sign a petition, because this is one of my causes too. And it just continues the work that we do. And I know Dee is definitely into that cause as well too, about police brutality and things that are just not right, and Curious Theater. So recognize the work that they do and the strong advocates that they are. It makes me want to cry. So I also have links there for things you can watch. If you've never seen Eyes on the Prize, make sure you watch it. If you never read the book, There Is a River by Dr. Vincent Harding, make sure you read it. All these will be in that sheet. You don't have to write them down, you know. So, but I have links there. Sign a different petition for Jessica Martinez, who was a young girl here in Colorado that was shot several times and quote unquote stolen car. The different Devon Bailey, who's a young man in Colorado Springs that was killed. So anyway, because those are my causes, doesn't have to be your cause, but those are my causes. You know, reach out to places like Safe House, Denver Domestic Violence Services. There are a ton, but they'll be on that sheet. So if you don't have a cause already, please do. How many in this workshop are educators or teachers? Show of hands, thumbs up, whatever case may be. Perfect, perfect. I'm so excited to have you all here. I hope this has been something that you can benefit from. I hope some of these, one thing I wanted to share with you is on that sheet too as well, is for all your young students, there's a book called Young Revolution, A Teen Guide to Activism by Chance Lee. That would be on your sheet too. This is an amazing book for young activists, teenagers especially. That's who it's written by and that's who it's written for. Any questions, comments, concerns that you have right now in the 5 minutes that we have left? I'm all ears. Anybody want to talk about any of the work, the breakout groups that was beneficial to you? I love the fact that we had the breakout groups because it gave you a chance to talk to each other versus just not me trying to speak to 41 people, but now you can broke down into smaller groups. So let me hear comments from you guys. We got a few minutes left. I'd love to hear something. Positive, negatives. Also, you want to reach up, stretch up a little bit. I know you've been sitting in a while. Make sure when this is over, you get off your butts and walk, okay? I walk 5 miles a day and it's feeling really good. I feel great, you know, but make sure you stretch and you walk around, do something, okay? You have a pet, take that dog for a walk. It's hard to walk a cat, but if you can, walk that cat around the house, it'll chase you. So I think, Brad, you have something to say. Go ahead, Brad.
Sure, and if anybody wants my 2 kids, you can have them. They're 6 and 3. They'll keep you running around all day. Whew, I love sitting on these Zooms. So I really enjoyed being in another room full of other like-minded people. And while I didn't understand what the first slide was and working into the second, seeing the third one and feeling the full circle of this and understanding it's about knowing or thinking about what unity is, taking a hold of the opportunities we have in front of us or that are behind and in front, but also happening now, is that what can we do moving forward to help as many people as we possibly can throughout this experience. And we're teachers, we're bred for this. This is what like our bread and butter is, to think outside of the box. As artists, we need to seize opportunities to create voice for the voiceless or those who can't scream as loud. And my group was just really special in talking about how library, how Jim could just, as soon as it was on lockdown, he still made sure to keep social connectedness in a physical distance type scenario. So I was just proud to be a part of other like-minded people doing wonderful things. Oh, he's muted.
Donnie, we can't hear you. Oh no. Where did he go?
You should have gotten $21, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna unmute you one more time, Donnie. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. When you were saying that you...
Okay, can you hear me now? All right, good. Thank you so much. Okay, I was just saying I'm very excited that we have so many educators here and how you can stay connected to your students even over the course of the summer. Make sure you try to do that as well, okay? Any more comments? Thank you, Brad, for your comment.
I think I kind of wanted to say one thing, which is, I have been really leaning into reading and writing a lot more poetry during this sort of period of lockdown. It's a moment where you are sort of forced to be more by yourself than you are normally. Maybe you do have lots of people around, or you've got roommates or whoever. I certainly have roommates, but that the connection that we sort of talked about in the first moment when we were talking about unity, that connection where other people can kind of say things and it changes you, or it changes your definitions, it changes your word, like that change or that openness to change. I guess I hope to sort of put that in a poem as well. You start one place, you don't stay that way the whole time. You end in a different place. So there's something that is given or taken, throughout. So I really appreciated getting to talk about unity with some folks, because they had that, that back and forth, that tug. That was good. I think it was really productive.
Beautiful. So yeah, I think as artists and teachers and educators, we all need to evolve as much as possible. I know the evolution of Donnie has been huge, from the kid growing up in Texas who was very angry all the time, and especially angry at people who didn't look like me, because those people that didn't like me, feel like me, were always trying to inflict pain and on me. But my evolution has been just that, and art saved my life. I don't know about what you write. You mentioned writing more. I've certainly been writing more too. And I just have to give shout out to different people who are in this right now, who helped me grow as an artist and grow as a person. Look at that one right now, it's Dan Heaster. So we did a lot of things together. He helped me grow. And Dee helped me better with being a facilitator. Because he's amazing. Lee almost had me want to dance, but that wasn't gonna work. So, but anyway, I just appreciate everybody. I just been honored to do this workshop. Extremely nervous about trying to do this and talk to so many great people. But it's been okay. It's been okay because you all have something to say to each other. And it really wasn't about me, and that's never been about me. It's about you. Okay, so make it about you and anybody you can impact, anybody you can have a positive impact on as you go through your life. And especially this weekend, like I said, try to remember the students that are out there doing stuff. For you that have kids, take them out, do something with them special. If we just walk around the block, make some stuff, and I know you guys are sick of making cookies. So do something else, okay? So Jason,
Donnie, we have one person's got a hand up. I think.
Oh yeah, where is it?
A Kane. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I see your hand up.
Go ahead. I'm not going to attempt.
Rose hair is dark blue.
Sorry, I had my hand up when you asked about the teacher question. I don't have a question.
Right on, no worries. I just wanted to make sure we heard from you if you had something to say.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Donnie.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Donnie, and thank you everybody for joining us today virtually for our Creative Learning Lab, and for sticking with us throughout all these, through my technical flub. So thank you so much. Please, please, please remember to fill out a survey. I put the links in the chat, and also send me over your notes by the end of day Monday, and then I can send all the resources out. There were many, many folks who registered, some spam, some not. So I'm really going to use the evaluation as my way to find out who is actually in the room today. So if you want the resources from Donnie and everything, please, it's only about 4 questions. Fill out that evaluation, and that's how I'll know who is actually here today and not just one of those spam registered folks. So again, that's in the chat. So thank you so much for joining us. And then one last plug, be sure to check out Donnie on our Teaching Artist TV, as well as so many other wonderful Think 360 teaching artists. These are at-home tutorials that you can share with your students, share with your kids, or even do some art yourself. So they're really exciting. There's a variety of levels, variety of disciplines. So please, please, please check out Teaching Artist TV. And thank you so much. We will see you all shortly. Yes, Donnie.
Yeah, can I do one plug too? So
you can, Donnie, I'm giving you the final word.
Okay, the final word is a plug for Social Justice Podcast, which is Destination Freedom Black Radio Days, which is my podcast. And now we have 7 shows up, starting with Black with a capital B. D will be very familiar with that. So, and then we end with Enrique's Journey, a collaboration with Teacher Atro. And then next week we'll have 2 interviews, one with Tamira Rice's mom, who was a young man that was killed in Cleveland. So, but anyway, if you can, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Radio Public, any place you get your podcast. Over and out.
Thanks, everyone.